Alpine is in a bad situation for 2023. The team that was a laughingstock in 2022, Alpine, is looking to make a statement as we head into the new season in March. However, this is much easier said than done, and it seems like they will have a very hard time competing against the top three teams, which is their goal. Although they believe they are far ahead of McLaren, they may be beaten in the upcoming season, despite the fact that they brought in Gasly and everyone has high expectations for him.
Two Red Bulls getting away rather nicely. Charles Leclerc goes down the inside on Sergio Perez. Perez has to
Alpine is leading the new season with Ocon and Gasly, and while everyone assumed that Ocon is a stubborn driver who refuses to back down from fights even when he clearly lacks the ability to beat his teammates, that narrative is likely to be expanded for the 2023 season. Gasly has looked for a top-performing team for quite some time now, and now that he's found it, he will be one very tough nut to break. On the other hand, we've seen that Ocon is also a driver that resembles a similar character, which only goes to show that Alpine will have a huge problem with the egos of these two drivers. This is something that has been spoken about by Alpine CEO Laurent Rossi, who said that he won't tolerate any stupid stuff from either of the drivers. If they happen to do something silly, they could lose the job, and that fact itself should scare Ocon and Gasly from acting childish. These drivers not only have large personalities and egos, but they also have had a rocky relationship since their karting days. Both of them are French, and both were very good friends when their racing careers started. However, this narrative changed quickly, and now they are going to resemble the most awkward pairing on the grid. Their families aren't in the best of relationships either, and it seems like this is going to be heavily anticipated by Alpine.
Suddenly under attack instead of being the attacker, but that Ferrari I showed you on the grid, it's got slim rear wing.
The French team has reportedly banned the families from attending the same racing weekend, which just goes to show that they do not have enough trust that they can act right if the tensions between Ocon and Gasly rise during the race. So one of the reasons why tensions will start running high from day one in Alpine is that Ocon isn't as good of a driver as Gasly, with the younger Frenchman having nearly the same career stats as Ocon and having driven his entire career in an underperforming team, if you don't consider the 13 races he's had for Red Bull in 2019. From 2020 on, Gasly has taken his game up a notch, which resulted in him winning a race in Monza and scoring a couple of podiums as well. He was the main reason why AlphaTauri finished P6 and P7 in the 2020 and 2021 seasons, and now that he'll finally have a chance to prove himself on a top-performing team, Ocon will likely struggle a lot to keep up, and it's very certain that Gasly and Ocon will have a clash of their egos, given the fact that both of them are very stubborn and willing to prove themselves on the all-French team. This could lead to huge trouble, according to Romain Grosjean, who further added, "It can go bad, I'm not going to lie to you. If each of the drivers wants to be the French driver doing the job for the French team, it can go south. But it can go really well too. They are two guys who are not best friends when they were young, but they have matured a lot. They both know what it's like to win a race." With that being said, what should we expect from these drivers heading into the new season? Obviously, the competition will be fiercer than ever, and Gasly will give Ocon a much tougher fight than Alonso. The two-time world champion has brought some decent points to Alpine, but he never questioned their decisions because he didn't have much left to prove to the world. Gasly is the opposite, and everyone is eager to see that he is not the same 13-race guy he was in 2019 in the first season with Red Bull, when he got overlapped by Verstappen, his teammate, and wasn't in the best period of his life.
Pretty handy in a straight line.
Hamilton can't quite get near him because down the inside now.
But after that, Gasly has been tearing up the car that he's been given, and many have started to question why Red Bull brought Perez when they had a perfectly ready Gasly in the AlphaTauri. Nonetheless, this is all in the past, and now the team is going to try to keep the perfect balance between Gasly and Ocon, and also bring in a huge amount of points in 2023, potentially even scoring podiums. Romain Grosjean believes that Alpine needs to pay closer attention to how the relationship between Gasly and Ocon is going to develop, because the last thing that the Enston-based team wants is for the relationship to deteriorate now that they've successfully completed the all-French lineup. Alpine is going to have to keep an eye on the relationship between the two of them. If it starts to be an egg fight to be the best French driver on the grid in the only French team, things can go bad. They both have a Formula One win, and if they fit well together and work well together, it can be a very nice and fun success story for a brand like Alpine. That's one of my wishes. If we've learned something from Alpine in 2022, that is that they don't pay too much attention to their drivers. At least that was the case with Alonso and Piastri. Now that the outcome of the Piastri saga has ended the way it did, and Alpine went out of this saga as the losing side, they are finally ready to move on with Gasly, who could be the better solution for Alonso if you think about the win now situation. Piastri has a lot of potential, and the team has invested so much in him, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't meant to be. Was Alpine to be blamed for that? Probably, but we can't live in the past, and there are some good things going on in the team that could turn out to be something that everyone is looking forward to.
Fourth, but for how much longer? Not any longer at all. Pierre Gasly has tucked.
For example, the team has a new structure, and now that they've gotten rid of Alain Prost, who said that Rossi wants to be the centerpiece in Alpine, Staffhauer is holding all of the operations in his hand. This is something that he didn't have at Aston Martin, as he was supposed to face a two-pope model of work, with Martin Whitmarsh sharing the responsibilities with Otmar. According to the experienced team principal, this isn't something that he could work by, and he has every right to be angry regarding the treatment he received in Aston Martin. That is why he spoke about the current relationship he has with Laurent Rossi, further adding, "Working with Laurent is very easy, because we are like popes of separate churches. He is CEO of Alpine, the car company, and I report to him. One of the pillars of the Alpine car company is an F1 team, or one of the entities underneath him. So I just report to him there. He's got all sorts of other direct reports to sell cars, design cars, manufacture cars, market the cars, all that stuff. It's kind of like Toto Wolff reporting to Ola Shelenius." Staffnauer also has a lot of praise for Gasly, believing that he and Ocon will get off to a great start in 2023. And now that they've finally achieved what they wanted in Formula 1, there is literally no need and no sense in them to break it up for some stupid shenanigans that were happening when they were kids. Both drivers have confirmed that this narrative is present with them as well, as Otmar Staffnauer spoke about how he had to have conversations with Franz Tost in order to sign Gasly and respect the hierarchy that was present in Red Bull. Further adding, "I asked Tost to say, can you release him? And Franz said no, and so I said, well, great, I'm glad you said that, because the last thing I wanted to hear was, yeah, I can't wait to get rid of this guy. He said, no, I need him. He's a great driver. I don't want to lose him. I said, thank you. With all due respect, do you mind if I call Helmut? He might have a different perspective." With that being said, it's going to be a very interesting period ahead of Alpine, but what goes in their favor is that the drivers are now more motivated than ever, and it could very well be a healthy relationship that will bring lots of points to the team. However, the stubbornness and the egos could extract the best out of them as well, and the relationship between team members and drivers could go south very quickly. What do you think about Alpine in 2023? Let us know in the comments below.